something on the screen as we're traveling across the reality of love too, man, you know. So we go back to that date, which is the same as January 28th, 2015, but it's 4/20/2008. And you know, I remember the journey that led me out there and how I got stuck in that snowstorm. Now, we're being a bit metaphorical here, but at the same time, it's a very real thing. I'd pulled my truck up off of a little turnout that's out there in the middle of nowhere off of Highway 160, maybe 30, 40, 50 miles east of Trinidad there. So I'm out there in the middle of nowhere, about halfway towards Kim, Colorado from Trinidad, something like that. And it's like, you know, the evening of the 19th, let's say, of April. And I've got a load of taters on that I picked up in the San Luis Valley, heading down to the Walmart warehouse in Kennewick or Kensington, Texas, outside of Dallas there. Kenilworth, something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it, but that's where we're headed. But we got plenty of time to make it. We got like 25 more hours to go, so I can afford a little time for sleeping, you know. Catch myself a little 3-4 hour cat nap, be just fine, man. Roll on down to Dallas and get her done, you know. Well, gee whiz, you know. There was a reason why I was compelled by sleepiness to pull over in that little turnout that night. You know, and then the same thing that compelled me to jump out of the truck and go and expel myself a bit too, you know. And wow, when I poked my head out of that truck, I about died, man. The sky was back, the same way it used to be before they suffered from the great haze attack, you know, and everything turned white and glittery and a little too bright, etc., you know, before they blocked out the stars. There was a full sky full of stars, a carpet you could walk on, light everywhere, from one horizon to the other, man. Gosh almighty. And I was swept right up in the presence of it. I hardly felt myself doing my duty there while I stood out there in that cold, cold night. Ooh, babies, it was chilly that night. You could feel the storm coming, but I didn't think it'd come quite that fast, you know. Really surprised us when it came that fast and hit us all at last, all at once, man. Wow, just out of nowhere. But here we were, standing here before the storm. The sky as clear as a bell. And the stars are surrounding you and embracing you. It's like you meld with the stars in the sky and the earth beneath your feet. It's like you're the juncture of all of this creation. And this is what you feel, and this is what you experience. Standing there doing your duty there between the tires and the frames so nobody can see. Well, hell, who's going to be watching out there anyway, except for a jackrabbit? Who cares? You know? But there you are, completely free in a moment that's just as human as it gets. Completely released to be the expansive nature of that entire universe. You're feeling it. You're living it. It's you. You're surrounded by these stars, and you're a star too. Shining brightly in that sky, bringing forward life all over the place. The specter of light from which life arises always. The stars, the rock stars of the universe. And there I are, experiencing my own little rock star by becoming that and shining from the sky, even as I stand upon the earth and do my earthly duty. Strange moments indeed, but a great precursor to the meeting at the center of the universe, of the 7 universal hearts that are the 7 billion that live here, that are the 11 billion that live here, that are the 28 billion that live here, that even more come now to even the score. No, it's not a population explosion. It's a realization of the unity of that moment that precursed our moment at the center of the universe. It's a realization of the unity of the life that lives in oneness inside of each and every one of us, and all of us collectively together as a singular presence of consciousness. The great spirit that flies in the heart of the eagle and rides in the heart of the buffalo, across the grand prairies and into the mountains and beyond. The great love of the solid heart, of the unified heart, spreading its awareness, its conscious awareness, its presence into everything that lives. Through the softness of the real revolution of the heart. The very thing we're sharing with you right now here on this Coyote Medicine Show from 9,000 feet high in the Rocky Mountain sky. And you may be down there at 200 feet, babies, you're higher than I am. Because you're radiating this stuff like crazy as you allow the softness to continue to expand inside, the softening of all of our harder parts, the softening of everything that ever restricted us, the softening that brings forward, again, the ultimate power, the power of creation, given in the softness, the sweetness of our innocence, the purity of our compassionate gratitude. The gratefulness of having been able to live the primitive way, and having been able to preserve the primal heart through that primitivity, of coming out of the dungeons of hell into the brightness of paradise, and seeing that even in hell, that paradise never abandoned us. We were always there. We never left it. The dungeon was a creative product of our heart we chose to experience for a few moments in time, that we would know the agony, the pains of suffering, and the ripening given in that. Goodness gracious, my telephone is a-ringing. Let me shut off the noise and see who that is. Oh, well, let me see what that is. I don't know what that is. It's probably an ad or something, but let's see what it is. Maybe it's somebody who wants to talk to us. Hello, you got the Coyote Medicine Show. Go ahead. Yeah, they're not present. It's one of those automatic dialers. It's probably somebody telling me I won a free trip to Florida. I hope they'll leave a message. I got to get down there one of these days. I'm feeling the pull of Florida, man. But there's like 3,000 miles between me and there, and I don't know quite what I want to do. I don't know if I want to drive all that way. Because I'm lazy now. I'm a retired trucker. I don't need long miles anymore. Short ones are good. They're fun. Long miles, too long a run. But then again, if I can come out and share my heart with everybody and have a good time doing it, why not? Take a couple weeks break and go do it, I might. You guys down in Florida got some housing for me? Let me know, man. I'm just rocking and rolling here on the Coyote Medicine Show, putting out the feelers. Because I know I've invited a few places down there. I can't remember who, but I need to be down there. Well, anyway, we'll just figure it out. But, wow. Hey, and don't forget, tomorrow on the Coyote Medicine Show, we got Carrie Ellis coming up, author of the 21st Century Superhuman Quantum Lifestyle. Man, one of the rockinest works you ever found. Is like a handbook to freedom, man. But anyway, she's a real dynamic heart and a seasoned world traveler to boot, man. And she does this just at the behest of the universe, you understand? She don't have the fat credit card or the big wallet, but she gets to be where she needs to be by the graciousness of others' good hearts. And she's gone all over the place in this world and gained a vast amount of experience. And I'm sure she'll have something to share with us about these scrolls they discovered down in Peru there in South America, that she's personally been down and had a hand in and met the man that created them and so forth. They're given from a kind of a Catholic bent. But oh my goodness, there's some divine revelatory stuff there, You know how we share little specks of reality with you here and there on this old medicine show? Well, those scrolls are doing the same thing. And there's all kinds of little instruments right now in this lifetime, like myself and others, and like these scrolls and other things like that are helping add to the collective awareness, the collective awakening, you see. It all tends to work together, though. It seems to come, one comes from outer space, one comes from inner space, and one comes from Peru, and one comes from Africa, one comes from Australia, another one from the U.S., and then Canada. Wow. And the Yukon, and so on and so forth. It just goes that way, you see. But it all adds up to the cosmic whole, coming back to life together in the presence of each person that lives here, and all the creation that surrounds them. Yeah, babies, And it's come to us also musically. That's why we share this great wealth of music here, It's rock and roll, and get you moving and get your heart moving and get you settling into your soul and entertain you and bring back lots of good memories if you're, of the seasoning as I am, because we span my whole lifetime here and then some on this old medicine show with our tunage. But babies, there's a lot of moments come back when it's funny how music kind of predicates a moment. A moment is always remembered by the music you were experiencing while you went through that moment, etc. It's funny how our life is queued up like that, almost like we're living in a movie, huh? Strange thing. That might be a reality, man. Just wait till you meet the director and the producers. They're yourself, by the way. You look at them in the mirror, and instead of seeing a backwards image looking back at yourself, a person steps out of that mirror and says, "How do you do? I am you. Are you me?" And then you say, "Well, God, I must be." It ain't through the looking glass anymore. It's from the looking glass. You don't got to dive in there to experience the realm of your reality. The reality comes to you, in other words. That which you saw as a reflection of yourself, given spiritually or mystically or however you choose to perceive it, but that which seemed to be a little beyond us, our higher self, in other words, that lived in that mirror of our existence. We actually lived in the mirror, but we didn't know it, see. The backwards world, the upside down world. That's what we do when we step in here, man. It's the upside down world, man. It's just like a mirror. If it doesn't only turn it around, it turns it upside down. So that, you can pretty much rely on everything you see here being 180 degrees from the truth. Now, that doesn't hold true in every situation, but in most, it's true. Most of the situations you see here are created in an opposite reality, in an opposite way. So when you see the truth of them, the old holy terror melts away, but so does the so-called divine presences too. We all just meld into this beautiful human stew. It's made of life itself, a synchronistic heart alive in every little element of this grand creation we call Earth and her nations, Earth and her tribes, Earth and her people, Earth and her children. The Mama Gaia, alive in motion inside of each child that lives. And these are childlike presences here, where though some appear to be adults and tyrannical rulers and so forth, man, we still just have little children to play. The little children presence does not go away, and that's why people's feelings, for all of their sophistication, are so fragile and so real, because that is living life in the childlike way. See, we never lose our innocence. We seem to put it away, but we never lose it. It's still there. And we still view this world through the child's eyes, seasoned by our experience in it, yes. And we accept many things as absolutes here that aren't so absolute, but we don't know that at the time. We just take them for what they are and get on with it, you know what I mean? It's a trip, it's a journey, it's an experience. And not many have thought it to be an expansive experience. Most just sought some little point of comfort where they could get by in this life and do what they had to do and get on with it. Not really realizing or understanding that that's a childlike circumstance too. That a child will seek refuge when he feels threatened by what he sees. And we use the he term rather loosely, because it's a she term too, okay? We're not genderic here, we're androgynous, man. We're merged, we're united, Though we're still fascinated at the expressions of our dualistic forms, and we're probably going to keep certain elements of that alive, ain't we? I think we will, because we already are. See, we're harboring in our heart a great sense of unity which really expands into the physical presence greatly, We're creating some real divine moments for ourselves right now, in this moment of now, and experiencing them as we create them, you see. And then creation catches up to us after a bit. We're narrowing that gap mightily. Pretty soon, it's constant creation, living in the moment which you create right now. See, that is the moment of now. And you see your form, your place in creation, and how this energy of life flows through you, through your heart, interprets itself into the creation that surrounds us. Pretty amazing stuff when you start to see it that way. And then you begin to realize the power to change everything. Because it already starts to change the moment you step in this direction. It already has changed. Because in this moment is all the power of the universe united in your singular heart, in your singular heartfelt presence. And you're in unity with your higher self, your lower self, anything other perceptions of yourself you may have. These are all in unity now. It's kind of like your heart is the center of everything, and there's all these billions of spokes of light going out and becoming creation from your heart. The radiance of the sun from your heart, radiating life into being. Again, that tiny little spectrum of light and love from which everything is created. Everything made of the same matter, the same essential subatomic matter, the little particle of life that is the seed. The same as we are the seed, sprouting, blossoming now. Like the super gigantic flowers that we are. We make Jack and the Beanstalk look piddly by comparison, you know. Our blossoms contain whole universes. And all the stars and everything that's in them, you know, etc. You see what I mean? Yeah, I'm being a little metaphorical, but it's real. More real than you could ever imagine, yet you imagine it, so it is real. It's the way we work. And imagination is our reality created. And I'm not talking about the syntho imagination that you sometimes employed, but the reality, you know, the heartfelt presence, this soft thing that then communicates through the softer parts of itself with the mind presence and begins a unifying extension of itself there. And pretty soon it's not an extension. Pretty soon the mind and the heart are melded. And the soul presence being the third element of oneness there, the entire being and person and presence then is reincarnated, reunited with the reality of its true love. Now, babies, it don't get much better than that, but from there, it's just a humble beginning. That's where we learn to grow in expansiveness, this moment of now. This is when we learn how powerful we are in creation and how beautiful we are for that innocent love that creates in such a powerful way. How it allowed itself to be so challenged, yet the innocence could not be stolen. The heart could not be crushed and killed as hard as we tried to put it away. It survived the worst kind of trials, and the best ones too. It came through because it's the solidarity of the energy in you and me too, the one love in all that doesn't hurt, that can only love and be loved in return. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is to love and be loved in return. I'm not very good at that, but that's old Nat King Cole. I think we played that one yesterday, man. Beautiful rendition of some magic music and another magic moment here in this beautiful old Coyote Medicine Show, only on the Hazy Radio Network. Oh, babies, you ain't gonna believe this. It's another exciting news break, a news flash here on the Coyote News Network. Hell, babies, we rock, they talk. And let's keep 'em talking, too, as we continue to rock our lives into the ever-present being of the truthful reality of love that we are. Yes, indeed. Hey, some hot news right off the wire here. It seems that well-known psychic, cosmic communicator, as she calls herself, Sally Sherlock Fields, has actually divined through the mystical realm that Obama, our U.S. president at the current moment, the figurehead for the Illuminati and so forth, you know, is actually the kind king, the reincarnation of the kind king Nebuchadnezzar from ancient Babylonian times. A king who was well known for his compassion for the people and his ability to push them around a lot by faking them out. Wow, sounds a lot like these days, don't it? They want you to know that this king never completely sold himself out then and probably wouldn't now, except that they got his family held prisoner on Mars, and there ain't a hell of a lot he can do about it just yet, though he is kind of moving in the background, trying to do something else and figure something else out so that he can free his family and then be free to kick ass in this reality. Well, kind sir, Sally Sherlock Fields, our well-known psychic who has developed this intuitive apparition of yourself and knows you very well, wishes to inform you that Well, yeah, you're kind of a klutz, idiot, and you're not going to get to do it this time the way you did last time, so you may as well relax and just join the party as it appears before you. Signed, Shirley, man. And she really loves you, by the way, and she gives you a big old squeeze, and she's really sorry that your family's been held on Mars like that, but guess what? They're not there anymore, baby. They're on their way home, you know. Our people picked them up quite some time ago, and now, you know, the grand reunion can happen. You can relax and, you know, retire from the presidency and go back into being the residency of the one love and all that you're supposed to be anyway, baby. You see, it doesn't take political leaders to set us free. Hell no, man. In fact, they have no power in that whatsoever. Do you understand that? They have no power to manipulate you or control you in any way. None. Zero. Or to affect your reality in any way. You know, you give them a lot of attention. You give them the power of hocus pocus, and so they play it. You know, that's what you want them to do. You want it differently? In your heart, let it undo. You know, you don't need to be told what to do and how to do it and restricted by laws and regulations. You already know what common decency is. Each and every person has that built right into them. It's simple. If it hurts, don't do it. If it's going to hurt somebody else, well, that's out the window. But see, the more you live in this caring presence, the more you're only going to do the natural and right and most grateful thing for everyone concerned, for the most gracious thing for everyone concerned, which brings forward the gratefulness of all and enhances creation even more. See, we don't need figureheads and gurus and religions to boss us around, let alone the governmental energies. You know, we just need to remember how it is to live in the heart. To let this heart come forward inside us by how letting it just keep softening up. And that's how we propel ourselves into the new reality, because it's just the reality of now. That's all it is. It's just accepting what's real. It's making the sacrifice of letting go of all your illusions of power and pretension in this reality. All your illusions of any authority you may have held over anything in that superficial sort of way. You know, and you may not even realize that it's superficial. You may think it's genuine. You really do feel the power. Then how comes it don't feel good? How comes you're always in conflict? How come it never feels right and never will, and you just become more tormented and have to bury it deeper and deeper? You know, then pretty soon you're becoming a hemophiliac and having to be a vampire and live off other people's bloodstreams. Is that what you really want for yourself? Is that the kind of life you're leading? Shit, that's no life at all, man. You know, that's no life. Yet, there's a divine experience in that appreciates you for going through that. Somebody's got to suffer in that way, so I guess it's you. Well, guess what, babies? We love you for it. We bless you for it. And we bring you out of it, too. And bring you back to the bosom of our heart the moment you're ready for it, man. And we'll embrace you, too. I don't care if you are, you know, Nicholas Deemer, the most evil murdering butcher that ever lived. You know what I mean. And we just hug you just the same. Because we understand the nature of the game. That none of this is real. That this is just something we've imagined into being an experience. It has the edge of reality to it then because it's something we've chosen to experience in this dreaming sort of way. And each of us has a characteristic at play here that is indeed a part of our true self. But just a mere speck of it. As we've seen it before this time anyway, you see. And that's why people have allowed themselves to become so undivine as to seek power over others. And these may be the ones that seem to think they have to make the hardest sacrifice, because they have to let go of all that and just be a people, like everybody else. And not necessarily recognized as some big nirvanic president from the ancient past. You know, reincarnating Abraham Lincoln, somebody told me a while back. Oh, bullshit. Abe Lincoln wouldn't be bullied like that, man. That's why they killed him, because he wouldn't be bullied. So they had to bully him a little harsher, you know. Understand the way things really work here. This political world has always been a scam. right from the word go, right from 1776 and 1492 and any other date you want to name. It's been a scam from the word go to keep the people enslaved, to get them to go and exploit and murder masses of people so they could occupy another area and exploit the mineral and agricultural resources thereof, etc. You know? I mean, when it's given from that aspect of it, man, the whole thing is slavery. And that's why you need regulators, because you got to have masters over the slaves. So you take privileged slaves and you make them into masters. But they're still slaves. Even though they be called president or king or pope or whatever, they're still slaves. They're still in your employ and doing what you request of them. And if they don't, well, then you off their family out there on Mars and they'll do it again anyway. I mean, they'll you know, I understand the treacherous nature of the hearts that have ruled the realm here, that thought everybody had to be forced through it, you know. And so then these poor old puppet leaders, these men that and women that thirst after this great power, that is no power at all, man, you know. Whether they do it politically or financially, you know, which seems to be the stronger power, it's still a completely synthetic reality. There is no power in creating fear. You know, that's essentially how they rule. You will be afraid and you will stop at that stop sign, or we will cite you, fine you, and put you in jail, etc., etc., see? It's a threatening power. It's not the power of a kind parent or a kind heart or a compassionate heart. It's one that doesn't give a shit about you or anything that you do, except obey. You know, that's all it knows. It's a robot thing, man. And we're not robots. We're designed to kind of be slaves of the heart, yes. But the heart is us. That's our creation. That's who we are. You know, so it's not like we're slaves to anything but the most selfish interest there ever was, which is not selfish at all, because it includes everyone. Inside of us is the one heart that's inside of everything else too. Care for yourself in a righteous way. You know what I mean? A caring way, a gracious way. Call it what you will. You know what I mean? Everybody knows it's just part of the common decency. Common decency requires you care for yourself adequately that you can then provide for others in a more beneficial way. And we're all in service to each other. It's sort of a slavery, but it's not as the way it's been imposed upon us in this 3D paradigm. We're in service to one another in ways some of us haven't even imagined yet, you know. It's like oftentimes a whole life will be lived for the presence of 3 or 4 words that are shared with a person at some point along the way that significantly alters the entirety of the reality and the way it behaves. You see, there are valiant souls that will live life as the most dumbed down of slaves, in the worst kind of agonizing, perilous lives you ever imagined, in order to have such a moment. And of course, once you come here, you do it unconsciously, yet you're drawn to it by the fates of the heart, the reality of the flow, the experience of this heart. And you know, and as you come to that sharing moment, quite often, you'll get a little more connection with others. You start to awaken. You get to new levels, and you start to realize things, and which allows you then to free yourself up and share those few words that you needed to share. And once that's over with, you might live another 30, 40 years just for the richness and the experience of it, or you might live another 5 minutes because you're done and you're ready to get out of here. You know, it varies so greatly. But entire lives will be lived for one moment like that, and many times over, too. Most of our lives are like that. Though the impacting moments we're living for now, have been far plentiful in these lives. Not just 1 or 2. It's a whole string of them along the old trail, and I'm sure old Obama's beginning to realize that too. As we lift the veil from the hearts that have been so clouded in this reality. See, it's what we do from our compassion itself. You want to change things, there's your revolution right there. Start with the puppet kings and go on from there. And then you get the puppet masters and you get the puppet people too. You see? It's expansive. We all are the universal junction. We all are the center heart. Each and every one of us. So this is the place we begin. And we affect one another in this way in our personalities and change the characteristics of them to the point where soon this play doesn't go on anymore. We return to our own reality. See, we're refining our processes, but really the reality returns to us. It's like the image in the mirror steps out and says, howdy, that's party. And I think it's time we did. Don't you? Isn't this fun, man? Isn't it great to be coming back to life this way? With this coyote medicine so dang active everywhere. Starting to really realize and see what's going on here. Let this softening continue. Let the glow continue to grow inside, in other words. That's the sunrise in your heart. That is the energy of the sun returning to the center presence of your person. And it melts away everything that's painful, anxious, fearful, etc., anything that would interfere with the flow of the dynamic harmony of your heart. All of it then just becomes a composite part of the total production of the symphony of your life, the blossoming of your life flower, which is right now, united with the sun and the earth in great, great and fragrant power, the fragrance of which goes forth and touches other flowers, the beauty of which encourages forth more and more abundant and beautiful life, and everything loses its ugly edge and finds the poetry of true symmetry, of true beauty, of uniform synchronicity in the harmony of life. The dance of love performed perfectly, no matter how many times we stumble and fall. We always do it gracefully, man. And it's only because we had a few too many. So let's have another one and just fall flat on the floor and wiggle around for a while. What the hell? As long as you're dancing, you're in the flow. That's how you know that it's really you dancing through your own coyote medicine show. You know, and you're on a much bigger network than Hazy, but Hazy's pretty damn cool too. We appreciate you being here. You ain't no fool. You're becoming cool by listening in here and participating in what we're here to share. From this elegant perch here at 9,000 feet high on the side of a mountain, a sandy old mountain down here. As you get on up there a ways, it's more and more granite, of course, and pretty jaggedy stuff. You gotta watch out. Beyond that, the palatial existence of the tall peaks that extend into the sky. Oh, and just kiss it and radiate an energy of wealthy love into this reality, such as you haven't seen before. You know, a lot of old dormant radiators, let's call them, energy fields, let's call them, that have been silent for quite some time are being activated and coming back to life because the human presence is realizing the fullness of its heart and the unlimited potential for life to expand in the greatest happiness, the most sincere and sweet and contentment, the contented joy there could ever be. Babies, that's our paradise revealing itself to us once again. As we step on in to the paradigm of the sky and no longer limit ourselves to just plowing around down here on the ground, man, but find that we care enough to allow ourselves to become, yes, a part of the air, the sky above, and the earth below, unified in our one little individual personal presence, which is then the sun arising in everything. Darlings, we love ya.